Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro.
Hey everyone, welcome to the week of August 4th through 10th. Tali here in Seattle today.
And Ophi in New York in a giant evening sunspot.
Oh yeah, you really are kind of getting some really interesting patterns on you right now. Well, this week is an active one. We have Mars moving into Libra for the first time in 2 years. We have the Lion's Gate reaching its peak on 8/8 the Lion's Gate, which actually does have some serious, pun intended, astrological significance, which we'll talk about, and an Aquarius full moon for us all to come together this Saturday, August 9th. So let's get into it. Actually, before we talk about any of that, let's do a little Mercury retrograde check-in. How's it been going for you?
Yeah, Mercury retrograde in Leo. So, we were born with Mercury retrograde. So it's typically a time when things actually do happen for us. But we're not immune to the chaos, the cosmic chaos that it creates around us.
I already got charged $500 from Hertz and hopefully not more for the rent-a-car fender ding I caused in Detroit.
Oh my goodness, that's right. We did have such a Mercury retrograde cliche when Tali was rushing to the airport and dinged a car last week in Detroit. I fell asleep on a hard floor because I had made all these videos and then I just was like, I'll just take a little nap here on my mom's plant porch. And I did a weird muscle pull. And I've heard, one of our Leo friends, she tripped over some gym equipment and then she fell down the stairs. So I've been hearing reports of sort of
a Virgo friend
injuries.
literally walked into a wall in the apartment she's lived in for a few solid decades, just getting up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and is all bruised up, WTF. Yeah.
I wonder what that's all about. I mean, Leo, I guess, is sort of it's the it's also our looks, a little vanity maybe there. I don't know. I think Leo is a fire sign, so it likes to rush around, and we're in Leo season, and it's just, you got to slow down. That seems to be the conclusion that everybody's drawing. And yeah, we're just getting through. It ends on August 11th.
Well, on the lighter side of it, because of course we're not going to just talk about light things today. That's just not how the world is. But there are some odd couples who have come forth.
Celebrities are ruled by Leo, so that makes sense. Yeah.
And Leo is romance. Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson, who I think are really cute. She's a Cancer, so Jupiter in Cancer. She's coming back out of her shell. She's in another movie, I think, that's premiering, and she's, I'm so happy to see her back in this.
He's a Gemini, so that one sign apart combo can be an odd couple sometimes, but I've seen it really work. I have seen a Gemini Cancer couple or two really endure through the ages.
So have I. It's usually the opposite gender pairing when I've seen it in a hetero couple where the woman's a Gemini and the guy is a Cancer. But yeah, I think there is something sweet about that pairing. It's kind of fun. It's they're both kind of we are just so not playing by these Hollywood standards anymore.
And I think that's true. That's a very Mercury retrograde in Leo way to make a red carpet debut. She kind of kissed him on the cheek or something. It was kind of are they or aren't they vibes. And it was so not the big show. J-Lo.
Definitely a far cry from her and Tommy Lee, a
Oh
Libra,
God.
decades ago when they were like basically like,
She's in her Saturn return.
dry
She is
effing
not
on the
having
red
it.
carpet.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. That was the Pam and Tommy tape years. So, um, yeah, it's very interesting. And
What were you gonna
then
say about J-Lo?
oh, J-Lo has been J-Loing. She's very Leo. I think she actually sent out a newsletter. For some reason, I'm on her mailing list on the J, or that's like on the J-Lo or something. It comes and it says it's from Jen in the subject line. Long ago, I signed up and she sends out periodic emails, and it was like, it's Leo season. But I think God bless J Lo. She is gonna Leo, no matter what's in or in fashion or not. It
Right.
seems like she's going to wear the sequins and the glitter, and nobody can stop her. She's a Leo rooster too. I mean, what do we want from her? They are
And
gonna.
has all the like that grand fire trine in her chart
Mm.
too. So yeah.
She's in her North Node returns,
She
so
seems to be doing. We were worried about a wardrobe malfunction a couple weeks ago because she was,
there's still time.
yeah, hopefully not. But yeah, there's also what I thought was like the weirdest, oddest couple is Scorpio, Katy Perry, and Justin Trudeau. I mean, he's a Capricorn, just like Orlando Bloom, and who also didn't make sense at all. But like,
Yeah, I'm like, she's like a what, queen? She's got five. She's got Sun, Moon, Rising, Saturn, and South Node and Scorpio. I'm
does she
like,
just like cast a spell over these rigid Capricorn men who
yeah,
like,
like what is
I know both
that?
she and Orlando Bloom have Scorpio moons. I don't know about Justin Trudeau's moon sign, but like I
It's
don't
just so
know. I'm so
weird. It's like, what are what are
confused.
what are they gonna
Like
do?
a
Like go to
Canadian diplomat,
concerts?
right?
Yeah,
Or in space. Maybe they'll go to space. Have you been to space? She's been to
true.
space. And then
Capricorn men can kind of be like secretly freaky. So maybe there's a
I
connection
mean,
in the sheets.
of course, yeah, Capricorns and Scorpio. Who cares, what your stats are when the lights go out or stay on? And also another Leo, Mercury retrograde in Leo news, and just like that has been canceled after its third season. Our characters are long past dying with dignity. I just watched the finale. I
Don't
will
spoil
admit,
it.
I won't.
I
I'm
am
not
gonna
gonna.
watch it.
I
I
won't
don't think I've
spoil it.
watched season two, but season three. I'm just curious. I
Just
mean,
skip right to season three, honestly. But
yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
we
it's
looked at the
painful.
chart
But
of when Sex and the City came out, and it was June 6th, 1998. So Saturn was at 29 degrees Aries. And so the show, the franchise, is in its Saturn return because Saturn now is at 1 degree Aries. And it's or two, I don't know. I gotta wait. What is
it's
it? Is it
like it's telling. It's yeah. It's in those early degrees. It's like grow up. Grow up. Sex in the City. I mean, honestly, I just have to. It was just it's attempts. It's attempts at wokeness were just pure pain the first two seasons,
Yeah,
and
they
then
just gave someone a friend of color or whatever. Like
right, and then
insert them in, but don't change the characters.
they
Let them
tried.
still be
They
as
definitely
white
got
as can be.
more storylines independent of the Fab Three over the last season, but the storylines were just I don't know. It's like the jokes just didn't land, and I will miss seeing Carrie's apartment, and I actually liked her more this season. She was a little bitchy, a little
She kind
not
of always
cute.
was. I mean, I remember when the movie came out years ago, and I just thought it was just already just like stop it here. Like they went to Dubai, and it was just like I think if you watched that now, it would be cringe central with like weird, stereotypical Middle Eastern
Oh,
little
right. So bad.
barbs, word
So, yeah, it
plays.
would
I
be
think
really off the air
it would be
immediately.
beyond cringe and into cancel territory. But I also noticed that the North Node was in Virgo, the South Node was in Pisces when the show came out, and it ended in 2004, which was, I think, that was when it was Aries Libra nodes. But now it's in its nodal opposition, which is a time to unplug, and we are most certainly unplugging our devices, TVs, whatever we're watching it on. It's been real. It's been real. Carrie, Miranda,
I
and
mean, I
Charlotte.
hate watched it because I love Sarah Jessica Parker, and I just still will get any little drop of the characters that I can. But Charlotte and Harry were just like agonizingly just can't. The camp lost its humor. They lost us all. But yeah,
It was
anyways,
shtick. It was
farewell.
schlock. Yeah.
Thanks for trying again.
Well, I have been, my guilty pleasure for Mercury retrograde in Leo has been the summer I turned pretty. And it all started because Sibel, my 15-year-old, had to read the book a couple years ago, or she chose it for her summer reading. And then I got sucked into it on Prime because I wanted to, she was like 13, and I was like, I need to just find some connection points with my teenage daughter. So I'm going to make that my excuse for something I would indulgently watch anyway. Like I love YA novels. So that is one of the ways that I bond with my Libra teen, who's now almost 15. And I have to say, if you know, Team Jeremiah, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, I got a glimpse of Conrad and Jeremiah and their saga, and Belly and all that when I was in Detroit while you guys were watching it. Oh my God, the things that we have to do to just escape. But sadly, very sad, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is shutting down. They're a major funder of PBS. And I just remember at the end of Sesame Street when we were kids, it's like, this is something with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. I remember they had a little
Mhm.
interstitial at the end there. So, oh God, media is definitely in flux. And with Uranus, the change maker, the crazy maker in Gemini, July 7th to November 7th this year, and then again for 7 years starting next April 25th. Yeah, media is just, I think independent media is what people are trusting more than anything
I was
else.
thinking about
But
that. I was thinking about Stephen Colbert. I mean, for context, Uranus was in Gemini last 1941 to 49, which was a big moment for media too.
it's when the
The
color
atomic
TVs, right?
age.
Yeah, color
Yeah.
TVs or even home TVs really
I don't know
became a
when color
thing in the
TVs, did they come out
1940s.
then?
I don't think
Okay.
color, but TVs were in people's homes in the 40s for the first time, and radio
Hmm.
broadcasts really picked up too. People would
Yeah.
gather around the hearth of the TV. So
Yeah. I mean, like we saw Don Lemon and Joanne Reed, who got axed from their TV news jobs, like go off and reinvent themselves on Substack and YouTube. And I think they're really thriving. Maybe they're not quite making the checks that they made before, but like I feel like Stephen Colbert and, just all the crazy stuff happening with South Park and Paramount. This is par for the Uranus and Gemini uh duplicitous media course, but I think he's gonna come up with something. A couple of years ago, I think when you predicted, Tali, that there would be some kind of new show or new TV show format, and it's turning out to be Substack, actually.
interesting.
So yeah, this sort of variety show. So I don't know. I think it's such a weird year and such a weird time. Reminding everyone we're in a 9 year in numerology, which is the end of a cycle. It is when things are falling away and getting exposed. the last 9 year was 2016. And so
we know what
here
happened
we go.
then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just like that,
And
here
just
we
like
are
that,
again.
here we are in the week of the Lion's Gate. And before we talk about it, we've got a special invitation because on 8/8, August 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are hosting for the third year a free Lion's Gate astrology and tarot ritual. So come and join us for an hour-ish. Always probably a little longer, we'll linger. astrostyle.com/lion25, and we will drop that link. But we are going to have the awesome Haifa Barbary on to pull the tarot spread. We're going to do a little ritual. We're going to help you find where the Lion's Gate is activating in your chart. And we'll talk about the astrology of this in a little bit, but it's it's a powerful intention setting moment to align with the divine, and it's free. Space is limited. You're in till we fill it up, but we love doing this with everybody. And Haifa is an awesome friend of ours. She grew up in London, and she's of Lebanese heritage, and we are all three feeling that it's really important and special for us to show the unity that we feel. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in the context of this week. But, last week we said, look, enough about who started it, who's going to finish it, how are we going to end the conflict and the divisiveness on this planet? What can we do? How can we do our part? Maybe we're not the people in power. But where can we find some power, both on a human worldly level and spiritually and with our intentions? So that is going to be infused into some of the ritual as well. So head over to astrostyle.com/lion25 and join us. We will have a replay for a limited time. And we will share the tarot spread that we're going to do so you can do it throughout the weekend or whenever you want. The Lions Gate portal is open. Technically, that period is until August 12th. So you'll have something that you can work with for the rest of the week and the weekend.
Which is actually that's actually a really good segue into the first major transit of the week, which happens this Wednesday, August 6th. And you might notice a dachshund in my arms right now. Lux came for a visit. We are having Seattle Sea Fair this weekend, which is, while we're recording, which is when people bring their boats out and these fighter pilots, the Blue Angels, whiz over my house here. So I have a dachshund who needs a little comforting right now.
It feels like Mercury retrograde in Leo. Like, pay attention to me, putting on a show. And
I know.
For us here, there's been a lot of wildfire smoke, which is not, lungs with Mercury. So you may see me mute and cough a few times, but here we are.
Man, but usually we have it. Thank goodness we don't right now, and I hope we don't. But so Mars, the planet of war, is heading into Libra, the sign of peace, this Wednesday, August 6th, and it's going to be there for the rest of the summer until actually the equinox on September 22nd. Now, the last time Mars was in Libra was actually 2 years ago, and it spanned actually October 7th. It was, what were the dates
August
again?
27th to October 12th of 2023. So October 7th happened right at the end. So Mars is not a fan of being in Libra. It's in one of its more uncomfortable positions there because, Mars is the ruler of Aries, which is the opposite sign of Libra. So as a result, it's an awkward fit, war and peace, war and justice, and it's a time that settling our differences is sometimes not done peacefully, as we saw the last time it was there, and
ever since. I mean, it's like, as we what I've noticed though in the days leading up to Mars moving into Libra is that there's been a louder outcry, especially from the Jewish community, our community, the Israeli community, around this has got to stop. This is not, and this is something we've talked about since the beginning, and it's really hard to talk about. It shouldn't be hard to talk about. It's like killing people is wrong, whether it's Hamas and their, awful, horrendous attacks on Israelis on October 7th, or the ensuing just devastation, famine, and killing that has happened ever since in Gaza, and everything leading up to it before that too. But this is the thing that is, it's it's so hard, it's so complex and so simple at the same time, and that's what makes it very much like Mars in Libra in that way, whereas Mars just cuts to the chase and Libra is like, well, what about this? What about that? And I was actually listening to a really great interview on New York Times on the Daily this past week. It came out on August 1st, and there's an independent Israeli journalist, Emmanuel Elbaz Phelps, and she was interviewed, and she really gave like an insight into, well, why did Israeli media not cover what was happening in Gaza? And she spoke up about it, I think a few weeks ago on the weekend show that she's on with other talking heads and TV hosts, and she got shut down. We don't want to hear about that. And she explained that was, there's still a lot of trauma in Israel because almost everyone's a small country. Almost everyone there knows someone who was affected by October 7th. But then there've been, there've been protests and people demanding that the Israeli journalists cover this. And here, how about this for Mercury retrograde? Apparently, a DM thread got leaked of Israeli journalists saying we need to cover this and kind of sharing their conflicted feelings about it. And
Wow.
I think maybe we can speak a little to the why behind it. And there's no to me there's no excuse or justification for murdering and killing other humans. There just isn't. No matter whose side you're on, it's reprehensible. It's like, I mean, this is like 101, thou shalt not kill.
And yet we've been taught, well, that's how war works. Well, maybe that's how it did work, but we can do better. Humans can do better than this. Well,
it's so layered, and this is not new. Our father was an immigrant, a refugee to Israel, and he was in the Israeli army. Everyone in Israel has to join the army at age 18. So there's a lot of talk about IDF soldiers. This isn't like ICE where you can volunteer to be a member. Like, everyone in the country is. And I don't know what happens in any other country because I don't have the insider lens, but I'm sure that people get indoctrinated everywhere. Where you're in the army, you're fighting for your nation's safety, and the other people around you are not safe. They're the enemy. And there's also a lot of talk about Zoran Mamdani saying refusing to globalize the Intifada. And in Israel, the Intifada actually represented something very different. In the 80s, there was an uprising where there were suicide bombers and, buses blowing up in Tel Aviv. And that's a context that a lot of people within Israel have. There's a fear, there's a sense of, a lack of safety. And if we went and talked to Palestinians, they would have their very own version of the story to tell too, like the checkpoints, the soldiers, the settlers literally bulldozing their land.
It's so Uranus and Gemini that there are two truths and a lie, basically. And,
mm-hmm.
Both truths are equally true and valid.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, with Mercury retrograde in Leo, Leo also rules the heart, the spine, it rules courage. And since July 18th, it's been retrograde in Leo. And I think that has really had journalists, that's Mercury, and a lot of people kind of pause and do deeper research or go, hey, we need to tell. Leo's also the teller of stories. I mean, the pictures, the absolutely gut and heart-wrenching pictures of starvation and starving children and infants in Gaza came out, I believe, when Mercury went retrograde in Leo. And it was really an important.
They've been out all along, but I think
but it hit like all of a sudden people like the timing, I believe, said, no, we have to say something about this. So, I mean, I've been looking for sources where I could where can I get what the story is from the inside? And one of the media sources that I have been appreciating is the Israeli news source Haaretz, which is about as progressive and unbiased as I've been able to find. And the reporters are actually reporting on facts. They're speaking to Palestinians. They're sending reporters into Gaza, Arab, Israeli reporters who are coming back and telling what it's like and talking to people and sharing the stories on their podcasts. So that has been a really important resource for me, because I know, in America, we know what it's like. We would never want people to say, oh, look at Donald Trump. That must be what all Americans are like. Look at Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi and the Epstein file scandal, or Elon Musk. Like, those people do not represent what Americans are. And in one of the Haaretz podcasts, they were sharing some surveys that had been done of Israelis, and apparently 60% of Israelis said that they wanted the war to end, whether the hostages were brought home or not. So, what's been so hard to talk about until Mercury retrograde in Leo is how do we say that Israel and Israelis are not one and the same?
And and Gazans and Hamas are not one and the same. It's like
not at all.
But
the majority of people in both of these places are people like you and I, just wanting to live their lives, work their jobs, have their family, their friends, and their lives. And when we remember that and remember our humanity, that changes things. And I think we do. I mean, obviously the pictures we're seeing show such an utter lack of humanity. There's no way around it. And the debating of whether it's a genocide or not, I mean, it doesn't matter.
We're past the point of an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. We're like, we couldn't even see what's up with a pair of Mark Zuckerberg's AI goggles that he's trying to sell us on. I mean, it's just like, wow, paradigm shift needed. And I think what, Mars and Libra can sometimes mean making a really hard choice. I had to think long and hard. It's like, for me to not say anything about a human rights atrocity, whether it's October 7th or the subsequent, attacks from Israel that have devastated civilians. That just feels wrong. But there's also this inner conflict that I think a lot of Jews have, where Israel we were taught and told in our history that Jews were kicked out of every country, including, Ethiopia, Yemen, the Arab countries, Russia. This was post-Holocaust, and Israel or America or some places in Europe, but not Europe after the Holocaust. But Israel is really the only place they wanted to have a safe harbor and a safe place to go. And this is just our grandparents' generation telling us this. They lived through it. So this is what we grew up being told as children.
Well, Israel was formed as a state when Uranus was last in Gemini in 1948, which is that duality. We have Israel Independence Day, Yom HaAtzmaut, it's called, but it's also to Palestinians and Arabs, it's Nakba, which is the day that they were forced out of their homes, all on the same day. The context, the dual context.
And I'm ashamed to say I didn't know. I never heard the word Nakba until October 7th. I was like, that's how just gate kept or unaware that I was about that history. And
when you hear those stories right from the people who are there versus filtered through American or European media sources, it really makes a big difference. So that is kind of what my Mercury retrograde in Leo project has been like, trying to just find the stories and find resources for friends who are like, okay, I need a different conversation besides just call your representative, condemn, sanction. Yes, you can do that too, but like what else is there also to do?
But on a personal level too, it is like so challenging for Palestinians, Jews, Arabs, Jews to reckon the pressure from our communities too, because those of us who do, stand for peace, who are humanists, who refuse to be divided, also face all sorts of bullying and rejection and painful interactions from our families, as well as the possibility of triggering our family members' trauma. Like I said, our cousins, we have 6 first cousins in Israel, and they were all kids and teenagers during the 1980s Intifada. So they, their mother is actually from Tunisia. Our uncle and our dad, their father is our dad's brother. So, they're just
their
trying
lived
to living
experience
their,
is different.
They have
it's just so entrenched. It's like it makes it, you see how many layers we have to get through to get to a place of
I mean, they can't even hear.
They're like,
conversation
what is peace?
about
That's not
peace.
possible. They've lost all sense of possibility. One last thing I'll say about this that I've noticed going around during Mercury retrograde in Leo is sort of an infighting in the spiritual community of like, accusing people who are, not just hardcore condemning everything as spiritual bypassing and certainly there is some of that. Certainly we don't need, another model dancing in Bali and praying for peace while she has her quinoa bowl or whatever. But that's so, that kind of but we also like it's so and it's so there's a veiled sexism in that though too. It's like I get it, but also like
but why shouldn't we all be able to do it? The only problem is that,
I mean, yeah, it's such a loaded issue because as I say that, I was like, oh my God, unpacking the globalism and what, tourism and all, I've heard Bali is basically destroyed like Tulum in so many ways because of that. So we certainly don't need another influencer, just love and light. It's true. And people are calling that out. But again, everything keeps getting polarized. Like, we also don't need shadow and anger and hate either. So,
I mean, everything is coming to light. The shadow, Pluto is in the early degrees of Aquarius, right? I mean, all these planets in their early degrees, these outer planets, are just peeling back the layers. I mean, we also have Sydney Sweeney and her
oh
My
my God,
Jeans Are Blue American Eagle Outfitters ad where she
that
just
was so Mercury retrograde in
now
Leo.
the eugenics conversation. And it's like, man, I mean, we
Is it
are hyper.
2026 yet?
I know. I mean, it's I just feel like humans are failing the assignment right now.
But let's
And
talk about what Mars and Libra is going to do.
yeah, let's do that.
So it is creating what's called a kite, and that is going to be going on for a while. So
Hmm.
we have a grant. So we have a kite in astrology, and we'll drop the link to the article. But it looks like kind of like a diamond or a kite. So there's a grand trine, meaning three planets in the same element in this harmonious 120-degree triangle, equilateral triangle. So that's going to happen with Mars and Libra, Uranus and Gemini, and Pluto and Aquarius, starting August 6th, as soon as Mars goes into Libra. And then we already have what's called a minor grand trine or a talent triangle. It's like a mini squat kind of pyramid with Uranus and Pluto, which are involved in the grand trine with Mars, with Saturn and Neptune and Aries. So there's like a big pyramid and a little pyramid, and Mars in Libra is connecting the two because it's opposite Saturn and Neptune. So there are six planets involved in this kite formation. Um, and while they're mostly harmonious, so we've got the air grand trine, which means it's going to be a lot of communication, a lot of information flying out, a lot of words exchanged, but a lot of rapid innovation. It's kind of interestingly coinciding with like Meta is doing some AI super intelligence, some whole chat GPT
Yeah, the
rollout,
agent
the
mode
agent
now. But
mode.
also,
Yeah.
Sam Altman saying, well, what you enter into your GPT could be used in court and submitted as evidence. So be careful what you
That's
pop in there.
Yeah,
Everyone
before you let
using
that agent be your assistant and
on your
comb through your
therapist. Oh
inbox,
Lord.
like
Hmm.
make sure that you know what your intellectual
Don't even get us
property
started
rights are.
on RFK Jr. and his Palantir connections, but
Oh my God, yeah. Palantir, yeah, Peter Thiel, who's a Libra, like Netanyahu, like Putin. Oh my gosh, Libras.
well, at
You're
least we have
supposed to
some
be
good ones. Gavin Newsom and AOC are
Kamala Harris
counterbalancing. Yeah.
was just on Stephen Colbert.
And is
Um,
not running for office.
right,
She says
right.
she's taking a break. She has a book coming out, though. Yeah.
Well, this grand trine and air signs could be rapid technology, rapid communications, possibly some negotiations. But I mean, with Uranus, Pluto, and Mars, those are all volatile, warmongering planets. So we may see some arms deals. We may see some
Well,
alliances.
Trump just deployed two nuclear submarines, just into the waters in response to what he's considering threats from the ex-Russian president Medvedev, who's been boasting about their nuclear capability in Russia. So, just
Well, after South Park, no one can have a bigger weapon than him, I guess. Oh God. Well, yeah, it could, so the area, so and then Mars in Libra is going to be opposite Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So that theme of the war and peace, warmongering, diplomacy. I mean, the opposition could, ratchet up tension or take us to a breaking point. And with Uranus and Pluto in that small minor grand trine sextile to Saturn and Neptune and Aries, I mean, this is going to be going on throughout August, but it's going to be kind of line in the sand potentially or a face off of some kind. So, Trump just activated the tariffs, for example. So he's now actually following through on some of the things that he was using to break people down and create chaos and uncertainty. So
What
the
lessons we humans have to learn right now. I
my God.
mean, it's like we said last week on the podcast, Ghislaine Maxwell, has now entered the chat. She just got moved to a minimum security prison. She'll probably make a deal. And I mean, this is like this
I mean, why
air
would we
energy.
expect her to actually suddenly have morals of any kind? Look what she did. She's one of the worst,
Be a
most
credible.
heinous criminals of our times. So
Since the
for her to
South
suddenly find
Node,
a conscience would be, yeah,
yeah, well, Mars
shocking.
and Libra could also bring more, aggressive acts in the judiciary branch or just from the Supreme Court that is stacked in Trump's favor so often.
Well, Mars
Basically,
and Libra, too, opposite
that's what I
Saturn and
mean. Yeah.
Neptune in Aries. Yeah. Yeah,
Guys,
I'd
I'm
like to
so
see
sorry to say,
justice.
but this, justice is the fight for justice wages on. And I think we're all with Saturn and Neptune and Aries. I feel like we're all being forced to learn how to fight as if we're back in the Roman Colosseum again. It's
Oh my God.
like I don't know. There's no I don't know. We don't even know. We're at such a beginning point of these transits with these long cycles from these that yeah, it's just this year, everything just feels impossible to decipher. And it's by astrological design, by numerological design. We've been working away on the 2026 book. And by the way, we'll be sharing the theme to that and a cover reveal on our Lionsgate ritual that we're doing this
August
Friday,
8th.
August 8th at 8 p.m. So if you already want a sneak preview into the theme of next year, because it's not too soon to start thinking about 2026
Year of the
and
fire horse. We're moving from
one
two
year.
wood years to two fire years. There's a lot of big changes, and we're still in the thick of this divine pendulum year. So
No
that's
spiritual bypass on the 9 year on 2025, but something to just put some renewed focus on. If you're somebody who likes to plan ahead, that'll be part of
oh
the
gosh, yeah.
ritual. And in
And
fact,
let's talk about August
let's
8th.
get
So
into
what
it because
is
this
this
Mars,
Lionsgate
yeah.
period? So from about July 28th to August 12th is when Sirius, which was considered the spiritual sun for the ancient Egyptians. Now, because of the precession of the equinoxes and changes and tilts and all that, it's no longer when it was back in the time of ancient Egypt. But now this planetary event coincides with about this period during the quote unquote dog days of summer. Sirius is the dog star. So, in this period between July 28th and August 12th, Sirius aligns with Orion's belt and the Earth in a special formation. It becomes visible again as it rises over the eastern horizon. And this used to coincide with how the ancient Egyptians knew that the Nile was going to flood. They would begin their agricultural season. It was sort of an Egyptian New Year and a very important time. So, um,
By the way, the other time that Sirius is visible is at our Gregorian
Yeah,
calendar,
on
New
January
Year.
1st.
So it
It's
is
at the
kind of like a
highest point
set.
in the sky then, right? So I
Yep.
think
So here we are with this 8-8.
1-1 and 8-8. For whatever reason, 8-8, which is kind of the midst of it, has been chosen as an activation portal date for Sirius. So um
Well, 8 is the
it's
number of abundance. It is the number of power, powerful leaders. Last year, 2024 was an 8 year, and it's interesting. We had the Ouroboros as the icon on the cover of our book, and that's the snake, the dragon. We made a dragon out of it, but the snake eating its tail. And we're definitely, I keep hearing people use the term
I
Ouroboros
know I've been hearing
lately.
it this year a
I
lot.
know,
So
but it's like we did. How do we get ourselves to, how do we stop eating and chasing our own tails? That's what we're definitely going to focus on during this 8-8 Lionsgate ritual. A little bit about Sirius, too, is that it's a fixed star. We'll be explaining more about that. But fixed stars are they're stars that just don't move. They move so slowly from our vantage point that they really hover at a like a single degree of the zodiac for years and years. So Sirius is at 14 degrees Cancer. And what's really, really rare and special during this year's Lionsgate, which is that on August 12th, the day that Venus and Jupiter come together in a conjunction, they will
in
also
Cancer.
in Cancer, they'll be lining up at the same degree as Sirius. So
At 14 degrees Cancer.
yeah,
So not only is
crazy.
it only once every 12 years that Venus and Jupiter are conjunct in Cancer, but the fact that they would be at the exact same degree as Sirius, that doesn't, it could be at any degree. There's 30 degrees to choose from. It just so happens to coincide with the last day of the Lion's Gate. And I don't think that's any kind of an
Well,
accident. I
Venus
mean,
is, yeah, Venus is the divine.
shamelessly over here believing in aliens, I kind of am one. So yeah, and Venus and Jupiter are what are called the great benefics, which means they're the most helpful, positive planets in astrology. So peace, Venus is a sign of peace, Jupiter is global relations, and then here we have Sirius, which is actually a binary star. It's actually two stars, but
Hmm.
yeah, they're so hot and glowing and incandescent. I think like many times over of our own sun. So they just appear as one bright star, the brightest star in the night sky. And so Venus, Jupiter, and Sirius are here to
The
awaken us.
spiritual sun and the divine feminine, the peace of Venus with the global energy of Jupiter. So it is our Lionsgate ritual is going to be a global ritual for peace, for unity, for love. Love is
Hmm.
stronger than fear, but we're also whipped up by fear from the media. I mean, that is exactly the playbook, that it's one of Trump's playbook, classic moves, along with, someone was saying he used to pay people 80% of what he owed them, and the hassle is just like he makes everything so complex that the hassle of fighting him isn't worth it, and then he gets away with it. So
I
we're
heard that too. I think it was John Stewart, who I want to give a shout out to as a fellow Sagittarius Jew who's being really, he's been saying the same things that we have, like what's happening in the Middle East is not a representation of Jewish values.
yeah.
And, these are the kind of things that I think we're going to be hearing this week. A lot of things that like resonate as true on a much higher ethical, values based level. I was home in Detroit. Our mother's a rabbi. She's a Leo. Happy birthday, Mom, on July 31st. And she has a framed poster next to the bed in the guest room with a quote from the Talmud, one of the, you know, most sacred Jewish texts, and it was um, he who destroys a single life destroys the whole world. He who saves a single life saves the whole world. So I am riding into the Aquarius full moon on Saturday, August 9th on that one because Aquarius is a sign of collaboration, unity, humanity, coming together, groups. Uh, and we need that more than ever. Yes, we have Pluto in Aquarius, but it's not lining up with the full moon. We do have that kite as a backdrop, but this Aquarius full moon is a moment of reckoning, a moment to just step back from ourselves. Leo, it's during Leo season, and Leo is about the self. Aquarius is about us, all of us, a coalition. So I am really counting on that Aquarius full moon and the Lion's Gate to awaken us to like, let's stop fighting each other, let's stop infighting and come up with some solutions. Aquarius is the sign of the future
and innovation.
Well.
Yeah. And what I love about Aquarius is that it's like, it's one of those paradoxical signs where you can be part of a collective, but also retain your individual. So, I mean, as coming from a community that has been deeply traumatized and victimized over the last centuries, the Jewish community, and we're not the only one at all. So, but what happens when you are from a community that is needed to band together for survival is that it can be really terrifying to dissent or speak out publicly among, join a discourse that might make your community look weakened or splintered or, give
but it's so
Nazis
clear now.
some ammo to use against you. But like, that's
it's so clear now that's not working,
it's just like, where is that? It's kind of a Sophie's choice in a way, but what is that choice? Like, you can't also just not say anything. So again, we're just
down
being
on defending what happened to us while the Talmud quote that I shared. It's like
it's a really good one.
You can't just double down on defending your own people and watching anything similar to that happen to others, other innocent lives. It just
we've been through a full Mars cycle, and as Mars returns to Libra, the sign of peace, here's hoping that, I mean, there's just been so much killing around the world since so much war. I think that having these world leaders who basically get off on dividing us, it's like
that's how they retain
giving
their
permission
power.
to other, and so we need to visualize harmony and peace and collective human spirit. And, this week we talked, a lot about our perspective as Jews with an Israeli father, because that's what we know. We want to share our experience, but every experience matters. We're not sharing it to say, this is right and we are the only
sharing
victims.
It to show that that is what we were born as, but that to challenge, I think, listeners who may assume that all Jews or people of our heritage agree or think it's okay what's happening or don't condemn what's happening in Gaza. It's like we want you to hear it straight from us so you understand we are allies of humanity.
We are, and and that comes with so many layers for us all, and yet it's also so simple. But we continue to swing in this year of the divine pendulum between polarities, and it's just going to keep on being that way, alas, until next spring, even when Uranus finally settles into Gemini on April 25th. And then the outer planets are like settled in their new positions, the ones that they're visiting this year. and then swinging back and forth out of. So, whoo, hopefully you can also use Mars and Libra to foster some relationships. We need to fill our joy tanks because the fact that we have the access to it is a gift and something that we need to also consciously enjoy, consciously allow for ourselves. It's healing, especially members of communities that have been disenfranchised over years. Like, joy is an act of revolution. So find it where you can. Mars and Libra may bring it in an odd couple relationship, like Pam and Liam, or, Katie and Justin, or Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas, I heard, are a thing, or just you and a really good friend teaming up and doing something magical together. You're allowed to do that.
That's why
We're
the Aquarius astrologers
full moon,
at the end of the day, because we know we need some tools, we need some cosmic code, we need some directions. So yeah, we know there's a lot of people out there who just don't take astrology seriously, but even they're curious about it. Like, I've been going around and working with executives and professionals, and we both have, and every time we go, we're worried, like, oh well, they think this is weird, and I have yet to find anyone. They're more looking for someone who can explain it to them in a way that they can use
spiritual technology, as you named it. It's like, it's not even a secret weapon for success anymore. It's just it's just
it's a mystical resistance system. So I'll keep taking that one.
And if you want to take a look at your chart, get a reading with us, we're booked in August, but we have some September slots open. We're going to keep offering readings for the time being. So if that's something you want to do and get yourself prepped for the fall and the rest of the year, for you specifically, we've been loving doing readings for you guys. So astrostyle.com/readings. And I'm so ready for that Lion's Gate to open up and suck this cynical vibe out of me. So is it 8/8 yet?
Right. Well, please jump in. We've got a couple hundred people already from around the world who signed up from a small mention. So it's going to fill up fast. Grab your seat this Friday, 8/8 at 8:00 p.m. Eastern. And if you don't have a tarot deck, that's okay. You can get one before then, or you can, just kind of listen along and vibe. We're going to do a collective pull,
or pull
Haifa.
One on our website.
Yeah, you can do a virtual tarot poll at astrostyle.com/tarot with us, or you can just watch and then go get a deck and do your spread on your own as a ritual before August 12th. But whatever the case, we will be gathering on August 8th for the special ritual. It's free, and we would love to have you there. Come find out the 2026 theme. Come find Sirius in your chart and do some activation of light worker energy. We are here for you for that. So happy full moon week. Hang in there with the kite and Mercury retrograde and all of the fast moving energy. And follow us at AstroTwins on Instagram, because we'll be there every day. Tally's doing daily videos, and they're fun and informative, and you won't want to miss them. So we'll see you here next week.
See you next week, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.